Imagine standing on a battlefield, outnumbered 3-1, with your enemies laughing at your apparent weakness. Most would panic, most would retreat, but not Oda Nobunaga. He smiled, calm as a shadow, because his mind was sharper than any sword on that field. At just 25 years old, Nobunaga defied tradition, crushed his rivals, and reshaped Japan forever, not through brute force alone, but through a level of discipline and clarity that bordered on ruthlessness. Every decision he made, every battle he fought, was guided by a mind trained to focus without hesitation, a mind that turned chaos into opportunity. Today, we're diving into the ruthless discipline of Oda Nobunaga. The mental strategies, unshakable focus, and fearless clarity that made him unstoppable. From his early years mastering strategy and understanding human nature, to his groundbreaking innovations on the battlefield, and the calculated ruthlessness that terrified friend and foe alike, you're about to uncover the lessons behind the mind of one of history's most legendary warlords. By the end of this video, you won't just see Nobunaga as a historical figure, who will witness a masterclass in discipline, precision, and decisive action that you can apply in your own life to conquer challenges and rise above hesitation. Part 1. Early Life and Formation of Discipline. Oda Nobunaga was born in 1534 into a turbulent Japan, a country fractured into warring provinces where ambition and ruthlessness determined survival. From a young age, he was exposed to constant conflict, witnessing betrayal, shifting alliances, and the fragile nature of power. But unlike many of his peers, Nobunaga did not simply react to his circumstances. He observed, analyzed, and learned. Even as a teenager, he displayed an unshakable focus and a fearless curiosity that set him apart. While other young lords were indulging in leisure, were relying on tradition, Nobunaga immersed himself in the study of strategy, human behavior, and the art of war. He read everything he could get his hands on, from military manuals to historical chronicles, seeking patterns in the rise and fall of leaders. This formative period instilled in him a mental discipline that would define his entire life. Nobunaga's discipline was not about blind obedience or rigidity. It was about clarity of thought and deliberate action. He learned to detach from emotion, to assess threats objectively, and to prioritize long-term goals over short-term comfort. When he inherited his family's domain, many doubted his ability to lead. He was young, inexperienced, and surrounded by seasoned rivals. But Nobunaga's early training had given him an edge. He approached leadership like a strategist approaches a battlefield, calculating every move, anticipating resistance, and preparing for the unexpected. His decisiveness and precision, born from these early lessons, would later become his signature trait. One of the most defining lessons from Nobunaga's youth was understanding the cost of hesitation. In a world where hesitation could mean death, he honed the ability to make swift, uncompromising decisions. He practiced self-control, suppressing fear and impulsive emotion, and learned to view challenges as opportunities to test his clarity of thought. By his early 20s, Nobunaga was already displaying the ruthless discipline that would shock friend and foe alike. Strategic patience combined with rapid decisive action. The foundation for his legendary rise was not just natural talent, but an unrelenting focus on cultivating his mind, his judgment, and his understanding of human nature. Part 2. Strategic Mindset in Battles. Nobunaga's genius truly emerged on the battlefield, where his discipline transformed theory into reality. The Battle of Okayazama in 1560 serves as the ultimate example. Facing an army 3 times his size, most commanders would have hesitated, fortified, or fled. Nobunaga did none of these. Instead, he meticulously studied the terrain, the movements of his enemy, and the psychology of their leaders. With precision planning, he struck during a storm, using surprise and timing as weapons as deadly as any sword. The result was a stunning victory that elevated Nobunaga from a regional lord to a force that would dominate Japan. What made this possible was Nobunaga's disciplined mindset. He trained himself to remain calm under pressure, to detach from fear, and to think several moves ahead. His strategies were not born from impulse. They were the product of careful observation, patience, and unwavering focus. Another example is the Battle of Nagashino in 1575. But Nobunaga revolutionized warfare by effectively integrating firearms into his army, positioning them to maximize impact while minimizing risk. Nobunaga's approach was methodical, disciplined, and ahead of its time. The principle here is clear. Discipline is not simply about following orders or maintaining a routine. It is about cultivating the mental framework to act with precision when it matters most. Nobunaga exemplified this by combining preparation, adaptability, and fearless execution. He anticipated his enemy's moves, considered multiple contingencies, and acted decisively, even in chaotic situations. Every action he took was purposeful. Nothing was left to chance. This level of clarity and control is what allowed him to defeat larger, more powerful armies repeatedly. Nobunaga's battles demonstrate that discipline and strategic thinking are inseparable. Physical strength and weapon skill were important, but without the mental rigor to analyze, plan, and act decisively, victory was impossible. His methods remind us that the mind is the ultimate weapon, and mastery over one's thoughts, emotions, and decisions is the key to overcoming any challenge. Part 3. Ruthlessness as a form of clarity. To understand Nobunaga's discipline, one must also understand his ruthlessness. While many perceive it as cruelty, it was actually a manifestation of clarity and unwavering purpose. Nobunaga knew exactly what he wanted: power, unification, and control. Every action he took, no matter how harsh, was calculated to remove obstacles and focus on the ultimate goal. Temples that resisted him, rival clans that threatened stability, and even allies who hesitated were dealt with decisively. This ruthlessness was not arbitrary, it was discipline in its most extreme form. For Nobunaga, hesitation was fatal. Every decision required commitment and execution without doubt. This mindset allowed him to navigate a chaotic world where loyalty was fluid and alliances fragile. He did not waste energy on sentiment or tradition when clear objectives demanded action. His famous destruction of Mount Hiei in Ryakuji Temple, often cited as shocking, was an act of disciplined strategy, eliminating a powerful political and military opposition that threatened his vision of unifying Japan. The lesson here transcends history. True discipline often requires making hard decisions, even when they are uncomfortable or unpopular. Nobunaga's clarity came from understanding priorities and acting decisively. This is what separates leaders from followers and victors from the defeated. In life, as in war, hesitation and emotional attachment can blind us. Nobunaga's ruthlessness, tempered by calculation and focus, provides a blueprint for applying discipline in high-stakes situations, where clarity and courage define outcomes. Part 4. Innovation and adaptability discipline. As Nobunaga demonstrated, is not rigidity. Is purposeful adaptability. He embraced innovation when others clung to tradition. Nobunaga's introduction of firearms, his redesign of castles, and his willingness to adopt foreign trade and tactics illustrate a mind that was disciplined yet flexible. He understood that adherence to old methods could be a trap, and that survival and dominance required continuous evolution. This adaptability was not reckless experimentation. It was deliberate, calculated, and disciplined. Nobunaga evaluated each innovation critically, ensuring it served his strategic objectives. His adoption of muskets, for instance, was revolutionary in a world dominated by samurai sword combat. By integrating them effectively, he multiplied the efficiency and lethality of his forces. The lesson for modern viewers is profound. Discipline is not mere repetition, it is the intelligent application of principles, tools, and strategies to achieve clarity of purpose and maximum impact. Through adaptability, Nobunaga showed that a disciplined mind is not bound by tradition or fear of change. Discipline is the ability to assess, adjust, and implement with precision, ensuring every action advances your goals. Nobunaga's success reminds us that innovation, guided by clarity and focus, amplifies the power of disciplined effort. Part 5. Legacy and Lessons for Life. Oda Nobunaga's life ended in betrayal at Hanoji in 1582. Yet his legacy endured. He laid the groundwork for the unification of Japan, inspired future leaders, and left behind a blueprint of ruthless, disciplined clarity. His life teaches us that mastery is not about avoiding challenges or seeking comfort. It is about cultivating focus, making difficult decisions, and acting decisively in pursuit of a clear goal. The lessons from Nobunaga's discipline are timeless. First, clarity of purpose is non-negotiable. Know what you want and prioritize relentlessly. Second, mental preparation and strategic observation are as critical as physical skill or talent. Third, decisive action, even when difficult or unpopular, is necessary to overcome obstacles. Finally, adaptability ensures that discipline is not rigid dogma, but a living framework for success. Applying these lessons in modern life, whether in business, personal growth, or creative pursuits, can transform ordinary effort into extraordinary achievement. Nobunaga's path was brutal, yet his disciplined mind serves as a masterclass focus. Clarity, courage, and adaptability turn chaos into opportunity. By studying the ruthless discipline of Oda Nobunaga, we learn not just history, but the art of mastering ourselves, our decisions, and ultimately, our destiny. As we reflect on the life of Oda Nobunaga, one truth becomes clear. His greatness was never about brute force alone. It was about the clarity of his mind, the ruthlessness of his discipline, and the courage to act decisively when others hesitated. He teaches us that true mastery, whether on the battlefield or in life, comes from understanding your goals, preparing meticulously, and executing without fear or doubt. Nobunaga's path was dangerous, filled with enemies, betrayal, and constant uncertainty. Yet his unwavering focus allowed him to shape history and leave a legacy that continues to inspire. For us, the lesson is simple but powerful. Cultivate discipline, embrace clarity, act decisively, and adapt without hesitation. These are the timeless principles that turn ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Remember, the battlefield of life may not be paved with swords, but the discipline of your mind is your sharpest weapon. And like Oda Nobunaga, mastering it can make you truly unstoppable.